What's up everyone? Welcome to another video. My name is Alyssa and I start medical school in 4 days. It is currently August 6th, so it's coming right around the corner. I just finished medical school orientation yesterday. It went from August 3rd to August 5th. And today I'd like to share with you what went on during medical school orientation in case you happen to be curious. And yeah, I'll just tell you about my experience. So orientation for my school lasted for 3 days, and each day it went from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. and we had about an hour to an hour and a half for lunch. And there were a number of different breaks throughout, so it was pretty chill. It was online this year. Usually it's in person, but because of the whole pandemic situation, it was unfortunately online. On day one, we heard from our president and also from the dean of our university, and just listened to what they had to say. They talked a little bit about the pandemic. They talked about what they're doing to protect us and our safety, and as well as the community. We also heard from student services, student wellness, and counseling. We also learned about the student health insurance, and if you weren't aware of this, in medical school you need to have good health insurance because you're exposed to a lot of different things in healthcare settings. So at my school you are required to have health insurance, and they have a discounted health insurance that you can get. I'm actually on my husband's health insurance, but anyway, we just learned more about this program and the benefits of the student health insurance. We then learned about immunization information, and there are a number of different immunizations you need to have either checked or completed before starting medical school. For instance, tetanus, the Tdap, you need to have a tuberculosis test, and they make sure that your measles, mumps, rubella antibodies are still active through what is called a titer. Yeah, they talked a little bit about the immunization stuff, but I think for most of us, we had already completed the immunization requirements. Then we heard from student financial services, and they talked a little bit about what they offer. And yeah, I wish we would have heard a little bit more from student financial services. We also heard from the registrar's office as well as from ITS. And ITS helped us to set up different programs on our computers so that we are ready to go once school starts, because different professors are using different online platforms for things. For instance, one of my professors is using Top Hat. It's like an app that you can participate in class activities together. So like they'll do a survey and you just respond anonymously with your phone on Top Hat. So we also learned about the testing center and what that is going to be like when we're able to go to school and actually go to the testing center. As far as now, we're going to be doing online tests with proctoring. Somebody will be looking at us through a webcam, I guess, which is kind of creepy, but also I had to do that when I took some online classes before, so it's actually not too bad. I like it better than having to be in a testing center with other nervous people around me. I'm a nervous person and other people make me more nervous. So anyway, we then heard from campus security, and they actually do a number of cool things. So first they told us about parking and where we can and cannot park. They are not afraid to issue citations. They also talked about their escorting services, which I find to be really nice because if I'm on campus at night, I can call them up and they will escort me to my car in the parking garage, which I had kind of a creepy situation happen to me in the past, and I'm still dealing with being scared when I'm walking alone, specifically at night. I'm really glad, and I'm going to take advantage of that because there are creepy people out there. We also got to hear from the librarians, and one cool thing about my school is that they have most of our textbooks online. So I'm actually not going to need to purchase any textbooks this quarter because I can access the online versions of them, which is super nice. And then we just talked about our student handbook and professionalism, and that concluded day one of orientation. Now on day two, we learned about Canvas, which is where our professors are storing all of the lecture videos, lecture notes, syllabus, testing information. Everything is going to be within Canvas. And we heard from all of our different professors, and they told us about what to expect for their classes, how labs are going to work, and different workshops. All of our lectures are going to be online this year, but We will have to go in to a few different things, like anatomy lab, for instance. We're going to need to go in there, but this quarter they actually have the cadavers prosected, which means that somebody who's a professional already dissected the cadavers for us, and we just look. Usually in medical school, you will do the dissecting, I'm assuming, as a group. But I actually personally think this is a lot better for me because it kind of freaks me out. I'm sure it probably freaks everybody out. And then we learned a little bit about different skills, habits, and whatever we can do to succeed better in medical school. We had a talk from our academic success advisor. I don't really know what he is. Professor and Associate Dean of Academic Affairs. Okay, anyway, he talked about that. He really stressed working as a team, but I personally know that I don't really work well in a team because people get distracted a lot. And I can get distracted, so I know myself better than that. Maybe I'll do a few things with a team, but I don't necessarily think that you need to have a team to do well in a university setting, unless that works well for you. Then we learned a little about interprofessional healthcare and One Health, and this is where we get the opportunity to work with the dentistry students, veterinary students, podiatric medicine. We get to come together and learn about the different fields and how we can work together better as professionals someday. Then we heard from all of the different faculty members in our specific colleges. And then we had a session on the introduction to clinical medicine and also on our clinical rotations. So we just learned a little bit about what that's going to look like. So for my school, I could rotate in the city where I am, or there are a number of different locations where we will rotate during our third year. I'm hoping that I can rotate where I am right now. I don't want to have to move during my third year because we already have our own home, so that would just be messy. But there is going to be 1 month rotation that is in a rural location, so I will need to go to that rural location and live there for a month. And it's nice because they subsidize the housing costs, so it's only $100. Yeah, that was what day 2 ended with. And on day 3, it was focused with the student government and different organizations that we could become a part of. So we learned about some of the different organizations and what they do and how we could become involved with them. They also had a second year panel of students that we could ask questions to. And it was really nice because each one of the students, I think there were between 8 and 10 of them, they all answered the question in their own different way. And I'm glad somebody asked the question about Anki because it was interesting seeing how many students did not use Anki and were still successful in medical school. So I like to see that everybody has different approaches, different things can work for different people. It just makes me feel better not feeling pressure to use Anki now, because I was feeling pressure that I needed to use Anki because everybody was using Anki, but I shouldn't be that way because just because everybody does it doesn't mean it works the best. We also got the chance to hear from some accomplished physicians at the end of the day and some of their, accomplishments and contributions to the field of medicine. And they had a few little tips for us as incoming medical students. And at the end of the day, we had a diversity presentation, and it was an active presentation, which I really liked actually. They did a activity on privilege, and during this they usually do it in person, but they use Top Hat for us to enter in our responses anonymously. You would essentially take a step forward or take a step backward in real life, because it would be in person and you would be outside doing this, but instead we just wrote a tally mark for step forward or step backward. They would ask us, like, were you raised in a home that your parents owned? You'd put a step forward. Or if your parents were divorced as a child, you took a step backward, because all of these little things impact us as people and make it harder or easier to achieve different things. Basically, whatever we do in life, we didn't get there all on our own. We had a number of things that either worked for or against us. So the fact that I'm able to be in medical school today is the sum of the wonderful mentors that I've had in my life. My parents, I had a stable home. It wasn't always stable financially, but it was stable enough. And those sorts of things impact you. So it was interesting just seeing some of the things that cause a step backward and cause a step forward. And I would say that the exercise was uncomfortable, but it was still, I'm glad we did it because I think everybody needs to be more aware of like the different factors that can be contributing to a patient's health. Like maybe they can't afford their medication. So yeah, that was all of the medical school orientation stuff that we did. All in all, it was really good. And I'm glad that it was online because when things were a little bit drier, I kept working on my painting. So I'm still making some progress here. And if you like this video, please like it and subscribe if you're interested in following along with my journey. Let me know if you have any specific videos you'd like to see. And yeah, and ask me any questions if you have any questions. I'll do my best to answer them. And I'll see you soon.